Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and today I've got another selection of 7-inch singles to show you. As before, I've added some of the tracks to a playlist called The Joy of the Single, and you can find this by clicking on playlists on my channel. And I've also included details of the singles I'm showing today in the description below. Okay, and first up it's the June Brides. And this is their debut single, came out in 1984, and they were a London-based indie pop band, and it's the first release on the Pink label. The label was set up by Simon Down, who'd worked on the fringes of the Creation record label. The record's produced by Joe Foster, who was a co-founder at Creation, and it also comes in a wraparound sleeve, as the early singles on Creation used to do. And next up it's Sam Cooke. And this is a 1972 pressing of two tracks from the Two Sides of Sam Cooke LP. The A side, I'll Come Running Back to You, was recorded at Cosimo Matassa's New Orleans studio and sounds simply beautiful. It's like Sam Cooke's in the room with you, singing the soothing words into your ear. And next we've got the Dream Syndicate. And Medicine Show is the title track to the second album from the Paisley Underground Band. And this is a Spanish promotional copy on the A&M label. And next we've got Super Snaz, and they're all-female garage rockers from Japan. And this single was put out on the Get Hip label. They also recorded for Sub Pop in the 1990s. Next we've got on Sun a couple of tracks by Jerry Lee Lewis. And this is a repress of Great Balls of Fire, which was put out on the Third Man label. The B-side on here, You Win Again, is a cover of the Hank Williams song, and it's a song that Jerry Lee Lewis would return to several times during his career, both live and in the studio. But this 1956 Sun recording is by far the best. And next up it's the third single by MOGWAI, New Paths to Helicon, and Scottish post-rock band, of course. There were just 3,000 copies of this pressed, and it also comes with a couple of little leaflet inserts as well. And next it's the Monkees and A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You, and on the B-side it's The Girl I Knew Somewhere. The A-side's written by Neil Diamond, but it's the B-side which is of more significance. The Girl I Knew Somewhere is written by Michael Nesmith, and it's the equal of anything that was coming out of the Brill building for the Monkees to record at the time. And it's also notable because it was the first Monkees song to be released where they actually played the instruments on the record. Next it's the Rolling Stones and Miss You. And this is from the Some Girls LP from 1978. And there's a subtle influence here from disco music, and also it's interesting to note that Ian McLagan, the keyboard player from the Faces, plays electric piano on this track. Next up it's the CYNICS, garage rockers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they formed their own successful label, Get Hip, as shown with the Super Snaz single. Although this single actually came out on the Madrid-based label Munster, and it has some, on the A side, I'll Wait, it's got some fantastic power pop jangling guitars. Next it's the Three Johns, and they were a 1980s indie rock band from Leeds, and included John Langford from the Mekons on guitar. The use of a rhythm machine overlaid with frantic guitar and the odd dialogue sample in a sort of Big Audio Dynamite style is a sound that still makes me sit up and pay attention even today. This is a nice item. It's a 1966 EP with the lead track God Only Knows, and it's promoting the Pet Sounds LP. Bizarrely, the cover here doesn't include Brian Wilson in the photograph. It's really bizarre because without his songs co-written with Tony Asher and without his production and arrangement skills, the band would simply have not existed anymore. They would have just imploded at that time. The vocal harmonies on the outro to God Only Knows are just heavenly, and I still reckon God Only Knows is possibly the greatest pop song ever. And then we go to Norway and Power Poppers, the Yum Yums, and the A side is lifted from their LP Blame It on the Boogie, and the track that really caught my eye is the B side, and it's their version of Flaming Groovy's Shake Some Action. They do it in a more bubblegum style, and these guitars are maybe slightly punchier than on the Flaming Groovy's version, and it's a very credible cover version. Next I've got two picture discs by Super Furry Animals. Welsh indie rock band, of course. Show Your Hand and Runaway are both from the LP Hey Venus. Show Your Hand is influenced slightly by the Beach Boys with the tune and the use of harmonies, and Runaway also owes a debt to the Beach Boys, but with an added big dollop of Phil Spector Wall of Sound production. This is a nice item. Mary Weiss, she was of course the lead singer in the Shangri-Las, and she made one return only to the studio to record an album, and this single was taken from it, recorded for Norton in 2007. And I love the photos on the back. She looks really, really happy to be making music again. Next it's 3/5 of the Byrds when they got back together in the late 70s and billed themselves as McGuinn, Clark and HILLMAN. And the late 70s contemporary AOR production is a bit of a misstep, especially when you think that Tom Petty at that time was having commercial success with his interpretation of the classic Byrds sound of the mid-60s. But the track Don't You Write Her Off is a pretty catchy number, so it's definitely worth hearing. Next we've got Super Suckers, an American rock band that was signed to Sub Pop in the 1990s. They had a real pick and mix sound with elements of hard rock, country and punk, and I think that Born With A Tale is probably one of their very best songs. And moving along we come to Carbon Silicon, and this is the band formed by old friends Mick Jones and Tony James that played together in the London SS before moving on to The Clash, of course, with Mick Jones, and Generation X with Tony James. Most of the releases they put out in the early 2000s were available as free downloads, but they did record some stuff for commercial release, and this was their first single that came out on a physical format. I didn't know until checking that this actually nudged into the UK top 75 singles chart at the time. I really wish that Mick Jones would get a band back together and go out and play some live dates, because I really miss not being able to see him live.